and American public funding of space programs also puts it in pole position. To get a rocket into space requires an incredible amount of force. 860,000 pounds of thrust. And that heavy lifting requires the next step in the Atlas V construction, the first stage booster rocket. Essentially a giant tank of fuel below which the engine, the Russian RD-180, has been fixed. Depending on payload, up to 5 solid rocket boosters, similar to 5 smaller rockets, may be attached for extra thrust. That thrust takes a lot of energy, and 90% of the booster's mass on the Atlas V at launch is actually fuel.
An Atlas booster is really made up of 2 separate fuel tanks, the RP-1 tank, which is a highly refined kerosene, and a liquid oxygen tank.
These are little more than 2 massive pressurized gas canisters, like household spray cans, welded one atop the other. To keep their contents apart until ignition, they're sealed off by 2 saucer-like domes, known as bulkheads.
We built the domes, 1 aft end, 1 forward end, and 2 in the center that separate the liquid from the tank.
Separating the fuels is critical, because when oxygen and kerosene combine, they create an explosive force. It takes just over 4 minutes to get this 1.3 million pound rocket into space. In that time, it consumes on average 300 gallons of fuel per second. And during the whole flight, the Atlas V will guzzle a whopping 90,000 gallons of propellant, an amount equivalent in liquid volume to nearly 1 million cans of soda, accelerating the rocket to Mach 1, the speed of sound, in just 24 seconds. To achieve that sort of performance requires a super lightweight material.
For every pound you save on a booster as weight-wise, you gain 1/2 pound of performance. So it's extremely important to have a very lightweight stage.
The material of choice, aluminum sheets, called skin panels. It takes around 70 hours to bump form each one into a section of the cylinder. This is the term for hammering and bending each section into a curved shape. It's a labor-intensive process, taking 8 sheets and 130 days of work for each booster. Once complete, they'll join the payload fairing, second stage Centaur rockets, and other components ready for transport to Cape Canaveral. After 18 to 24 months of intensive work, all the separate stages and components of the Atlas V rocket are built. But they're so big, they can only be joined together at the launch site. Cape Canaveral, 2,500 miles away. To get it there requires a rather unusual and imaginatively named ferry.
The rocket ship is an extra wide-bodied vessel, sort of unique because of the quantity of the cargo that we have to carry.
Each part of the Atlas V can be over 105 feet long, and the whole rocket can weigh up to 250 metric tons. No problem for this ship.
The load capacity for the cargo bay is 4,000 metric tons.
Its route will take it by river and canal before reaching the Gulf of Mexico, rounding Florida, and on up the coast to Cape Canaveral. A testing trip requiring a unique vessel.
You got to be able to get under bridges, so you can't be too tall, but you can't be too low in the water, because then you'll run aground. But yet you got to be able to go to the ocean also with it.
It'll take 8 days to complete the journey. And a further 15 to 20 days for the Atlas V to be assembled on the launch pad.